start with our certificates, and we'll go with our bronze award, Dr. and Mrs. Mickey Schubert. Dr. and Mrs. Robert Schumann, Ms. Jennifer Briggs, Flexsteel, First Lawrence Bank, and we go to our silver awards. Daniel Roos, Dublin Chevrolet Nissan Buick GMC. Also coming up at this point in time is West Rock. Charlie, would you bring your team up and introduce the Coca-Cola McRae Company is one of our silver awards. Oconee EMC. Another good friend I've had the opportunity to work with through the years is the Georgia Power Company here. And the Georgia Power is a gold recipient. Mr. Jay Studstill will come up. Jay, on behalf of Georgia Power, come up, will be receiving the award for our gold award givers. We have a certificate of appreciation for Ms. Patricia right over here. 6+ years with the agency and did a tremendous job and has a tremendous rapport with all of you. So let's stand and give this young lady a standing ovation. Our Whitman Award is West Rock. When I was searching for a Volunteer of the Year award to be given out, Mr. Paul Williams, he joined the Red Cross in January, and since that time he has stepped up to become part of our transportation team along with Disaster Action Team Leader. Every time there is a disaster, probably, since we've been in this room, a disaster has struck somewhere within the 5 counties we serve. And the American Red Cross, along with the Salvation Army, are going to be 2 of the first agencies to get there. They're going to be handing out water to those firefighters. They're going to be different things. Somebody has to organize that and keep it going. So he volunteers. He's a true leader among his peers. He volunteers here at the office multiple days during the week, I think 3 days a week. And then other times he goes and volunteers at the Salvation Army. Is that right, James? So Mr. Paul, we want you to come on up. He will lead the warm bed of his at 2 a.m. in the morning to help families that have been displaced by some type of disaster. And you never, ever hear him complain. Mr. Paul also makes sure that his teammates has what they need to do their jobs at Red Cross, volunteers. We want to thank Mr. Paul for all that he's done for the Red Cross and his teammates. Our Volunteer of the Year, Mr. Paul Williams. Mr. Joe DeFano has been the treasurer for many, many years and does an excellent job with our board, and he is unable to be here tonight, and Mr. Charles Lang. Feedback, one of the first things I got from some of our agency directors was that they wanted more communications and more ways that we could do things, what we do better, and we could interact. So Mr. Charles put on a 2-day seminar with all of our agency directors and did an assessment program and really put a great job. And I think each one of them said they never really had this opportunity. I purposely was not there so that they could discuss, you know, if I was doing a bad job or a good job or whatever. But we wanted to know what their needs were. And I think I see some head shaking that was one of the best meetings we've ever had. So I chose Mr. Charles, and he was the person who initiated this. He said, I'll put this together. So 2 board members of the year, Mr. Charles Lang and Mr. Joe DeFano. Our large company, highest percentage of participation, Flexsteel. Once again, Flexsteel. And if you looked at Saturday's paper last week, these 2, along with myself and a couple on the front page there for their donation. But have so many employees to make donations, whether it be $1 per week or $1 per month or whatever the amount may be, is really great. Small company, highest percentage of participation, Dublin Chevrolet Nissan Buick GMC. President CEO Award, Dublin Chevrolet Nissan Buick GMC. And last and certainly not least, our past chair, Dr. Mickey Schubert.
Dublin Tire Company, serving Lawrence County since 1955. At Dublin Tire Company, we are proud to provide roadside service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have full service truck repairs. There's no truck too large or too small. Does your vehicle need new tires? At Dublin Tire Company, we provide you with passenger tires from the best brands anywhere at a price no one else can offer, not even the large stores. We have it all: Michelin, Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and BF Goodrich, just to name a few. See Dublin Tire Company for specialty tires, off-road tires, and forestry tires. Any type unique tire, we have it all. Come see Dublin Tire Company for hassle-free quality repairs at affordable prices. Come see Tom Mullis or Neil Harden and the wonderful staff today at Dublin Tire Company. Family owned and family operated since 1955. Dublin Tire Company, 1315 Telfair Street in Dublin.
But let me tell you just a little bit about this gal. She's originally sort of from East Dublin, and her mother lived here and passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. But Loretta and I met about 15 years ago in our conference in Rome. We were both working for Technical College System of Georgia. We met at a conference, her and about 3 other ladies and several men, and we sort of just bonded real quick, and we've been friends ever since. Great lady, great personality, does a great job. And I heard about the Cracker Queen, and I had an opportunity to listen to her talk, and I said, we want the tonight's to be a fun event. But she is the author of the Cracker Queen, a member of A Jagged, Joyful Life. She's been a commentator on National Public Radio. All things considered, where her stories have reached 25 million listeners. Her memoir became a Southern bestseller 3 weeks after its release, and she has those over here. And in 2010 was named one of the top 25 books all Georgians should read, according to the Georgia Center for the Book. Loretta's work has been featured on C-SPAN and many other national media outlets. Now, to be Southern living speaks out pretty good. When they called you the funniest woman in Georgia, that ought to say a little bit about what you're fixing to hear, folks. Today, she is in high demand as a keynote speaker and teacher of writing and self-growth. She offers seminars, and she writes in a little 12-by-12 shed, I'll call it, in the backyard where she's writing her books. But her newest gig is now she's working with, named a faculty member at Irma Bombeck's Writers Workshop at the University of Dayton. And for those who are our age, Loretta, some of these younger people don't remember who Irma Bombeck is. I keep talking. Some of the old folks like me will remember. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the Cracker Queen, Loretta, a Grand Ole Opry Dublin type welcome. Loretta, come on, folks.
Thank you, sir. Let me see by a show of hands, how many Southerners do we have in the room tonight? How many Southerners? Okie doke. How many non-Southerners do we have in the room tonight? Y'all, all I can say is this: bless your heart. Bless your heart. Has anyone in the room tonight, by a show of hands, perhaps heard me run my mouth before? Has anybody? And you came back anyway. Thank you so much. What I would really like to give is a very big thanks for what you do, and a big thanks to Johnny Payne, the Johnny Payne. He left a voicemail recently for me, and he did his best Johnny Cash voice. He said, "Hello, Loretta Lynn, this is Johnny Cash." And I asked Johnny for some information about the Heart of Georgia United Way. I studied up on the agencies, and I even, Johnny, I didn't know if I was going to do this. I actually calculated the impact that you all in this room have. I added up all the numbers of clients served, okay, and get this, in the year 2015, you served 125,441 people. That is huge. Give yourself some applause for that. Who is here from the Lighthouse? Okay, I decided for your numbers, 26 clients daily, no ma'am. That has to be 26 times 5 days a week, times at least 50 weeks a year. So your numbers, because I can only imagine the respite and great work that you all do for people. Even though technically 26 a day, your impact is huge. Everyone's impact here is so huge. At first, I was just going to try to make y'all laugh tonight. I was just going to try to be funny, right? And then I had to stop and think about, what is the point of this evening? What is it about? And what are you all about? What is each individual here about? And I decided that before I try to be funny, no pressure there, Johnny. Thanks for telling them about Southern living. You know, appreciate that. No pressure at all. Funniest woman in Georgia. Oh my God. Okay. I think they thought I was funny, y'all, because when they sent their reporter to come interview me for Southern Living, some of my stories were so wild and hardcore and gritty and everything that the reporter had to stop and say, Loretta, I'm not trying to be ugly, but Southern living is the pretty South. Oh, we have a problem. But here's the bottom line that I figured out. You all are helping my people. You're helping people just like me. Before you stands a child of defects. Before you stand, I don't want to cry. I'm glad Miss Vicki got a little teary, because I think I might cry, and I wasn't going to go here, but I just want y'all to know the impact of your work. You already know. But I'm a child of defects. Before I was 7 years old, I took many rides in the back of police cars when my father would take me away from my mother so that I could get a break from what she was involved in. My mom would call the police to say I had been abducted. And the police knew the situation. They'd come, pick me up, and I surely didn't want to go back. But they had their job to do. It was so interesting as I was getting ready to come here tonight at the La Quinta, which is a fabulous hotel, Raj, thank you. An Amber Alert sounded on my phone. And because of my background, y'all, when those Amber Alerts come through, sometimes I think, wow, I wonder if that was a rescue or an abduction, or maybe a bit of both. So I just really, really want you to know that you're helping people just like me. We received, you heard the jokes about government cheese and government butter. We were very grateful to get those things. We had a food bank. Very grateful for that as well. And I come from a family in Johnson County, and I understand, my nephew tells me it's now called JOCO. Is that right? JOCO. And this family has so much darkness in its past that we don't even really know our history because of the generations of poverty and shame and pain and things that must never be spoken of. But here's what I have to tell you tonight. That's okay. Because there is not enough darkness in the whole wide world to put out the light of one small candle. Is that right? That's right. I need to hear it. Oh, amen. We about to have church. Woo! Okay. And each of you is a candle. And please don't forget that. And it's because of your support and volunteerism and advocacy that you're helping other people's flames grow stronger. People just like me and my family. You've heard of post-traumatic stress, yes? Well, you know what business you all are in? Post-traumatic growth. That is what you specialize in. And how do I know? Because I am the proof of it. And so many other people. And I bet there are people in this room with backgrounds not unlike mine. So you understand. So I just want to say very much thank you. Today I spent the whole day visiting family members. I started with a sister on Highway 57, went to another sister in Bartow, and then swung through Wrightsville to see my aunt who's in the book, and the first sister's in the book. And I did some people watching in the parking lot of the Dollar General in Wrightsville. And let's just say I got me a whole new batch of material. But what I was reminded of was the desperation in this community and it's deep, and it's in your face, folks. But this is what I also know so well about this community. The faith and the goodness is much greater still. So thank you. Thank you again. I'm very, very familiar with the folks on the margins, the edges, and the bottomland. And you are the reason that some people can make it the very next day, the very next hour. Now, we're going to segue into having some fun. How do you feel about that?
Amen.
Okay, my story's called The Cracker Queen. Let me just explain something real quick. The Cracker Queen is a human thing. It's not, I'm just going to say it, it's not a white, female, southern thing, okay? A Cracker Queen is just a human who has decided, hey, I've been through some tough stuff. I'm going to turn the setback into the comeback. I'm going to take the hard stuff and I'm going to try to find the lesson or the blessing hidden in that and move forward. That's all the Cracker Queen is. Of course, a Cracker Queen is a very colorful person. A Cracker Queen can be both the life of the party and the reason the police have to be called. So do be aware of that. My story deals with a lot of this gritty stuff that I have touched on, but it also includes a lot of humor. That, to me, is the ultimate coping skill. Do you agree? Yeah. If you can keep your wits about you, you can get through anything. Yes? Absolutely. The Cracker Queen is about the beauty in the broken, the broke, and the broke down. We're all cracked. Everybody's cracked. How else can the light get in, right?
Where's everyone going this early in the morning? It's breakfast time at Dairy Queen with the best biscuits around. Try our mouth-watering sausage egg biscuits or our delicious country ham or chicken biscuits and bacon and egg with hot grits and hash browns. And top it all off with your favorite drink. Start your morning off with all your friends and the friendliest staff anywhere. It's breakfast time every morning, 6 till 10:30 a.m. at Dairy Queen on East Jackson Street in Dublin.
So it's not a bad thing. So when I start my little funny stuff, give yourself permission to laugh. Because what my story is really about, when I talk about these people in my family and myself, it's about resilience, resourcefulness, love, and a lot of good things. Because sometimes the most beautiful people really aren't the ones that look that good on the outside. Yes? Absolutely. Okay? Here we go. Y'all ready? You know how Jeff Foxworthy has the, you might be a redneck, yeah? Well, let's see if you might be a Cracker Queen. Here we go. Now listen closely. You might be a Cracker Queen if anyone in your family answers to Mima, Paw, Nanny, Big Mama, Little Mama, Other Mama, Cooter, Scooter, Junior, Buddy, Bubba, Earl, Skinny, Shine, Fireball, or Lurleen. If you have any female family members whose first name ends in a net, a nail, or an een, you might be a Cracker Queen, my friends, and congratulations if you are. All of these are real life examples from my family. Here we go. You might be a Cracker Queen if your mama believed that wrestling was real, but the moon landing was faked. Y'all know it was. Y'all know it was. My mother, bless her sweet soul, always gave the most. Is that an Amber Alert? How interesting. Okay. My mother, y'all. That's interesting. Okay. She was known for giving very inappropriate gifts that people always loved getting, and it would mortify me. Here is an example, but people loved them. You might be a Cracker Queen if you have ever given illegal ammo as a stocking stuffer, okay, or a baby shower gift. Here's one for y'all. This is one I made up today just for y'all, Johnny. You might be a Cracker Queen if your town has been known in the past in the international press for an annual event called the Redneck Game. Oh my God. Y'all, when my book was about to come out, I said, daggone, I'm going to go to those Redneck Games for the first time, scout it out, see if this would be a good place to set up a booth and sell my book. Y'all, with all due respect, woo! I saw that 350-pound lady in that Confederate flag string bikini, and I said, these are not your big readers, I don't think. These are not your, And I actually told my nephew, who was with me, I said, honey, Auntie can't ever come back here again unless Auntie just has about an inch of some brown liquor ahead of time. Yes. Y'all, this was what Mama did with me. You might be a cracker queen if you send your 6-year-old to the store for cigarettes and lotto tickets. Somebody said, excuse me, Loretta, that can't be true because Georgia didn't have a lottery back then. And I said, you talking about the legal lottery. Please. Y'all, this is my crazy Aunt Carrie. Listen to this. Let's just say crazy Aunt Carrie had some addiction issues. You might be a cracker queen if you have been banned from the pain clinics in a 3-county area. This is what Mama used to always say. She used to say, you know, I always knew drugs and alcohol would kill Carrie, but I never thought it'd take this long. And when my very kind but troubled aunt passed away in the Sandersville Hospital, y'all, it was such a point of pride for my mama, her sister, because drugs and alcohol had nothing to do with her death. And until her dying day, she would brag. She'd say, I'll have you know, my sister died of natural causes. I got one for you just from today at the sister's house on Highway 57, y'all. I almost took a picture of this, Johnny. You might be a cracker queen if you have put your mama's cremains inside a Patron tequila bottle. And if you read my book, you will know the irony, because Mama got sober way later in life. This is my crazy aunt. You might be a cracker queen if you have ever worn a tube top to a funeral. Oh, God. I hate it when that happens. Somebody made the poor decision to go counsel my crazy aunt about the inappropriateness of her attire at the funeral. She said, it's black, ain't it? That's what you get for talking to her. And this last one, y'all, is one of the most interesting things I've ever heard. This really happened. My mom was a good friend with this lady. This happened about 6 years ago. You might be a cracker queen if, after years of not being able to conceive a child of your own, you are handed one at the Dublin Dairy Queen while ordering a jumbo blizzard. This really happened, and it really all was legally handled. A poor woman with several very small children, desperate. Her husband had just died in a car accident, and she knew she couldn't handle one more baby. And this baby today is about 7 years old and the most spoiled thing you've ever seen. And I just said, where does this happen? It happens in a community where love happens wherever it needs to happen. So I just wanted to share that with you. To say I love this community is such an understatement. In my book, there's a lot of Dublin and Johnson County, especially Dublin, in my book. And I wanted to just share with you a couple of things to see that I talk about in the book, to see if any of you remember these things. A place called Mall Hawkins. Raise your hand, clap if you know Mall Hawkins. Woo! Yes. We would drive from Savannah, when we lived in Savannah, to come to Mall Hawkins for the shrimp. Okay. How about the Wizard of Oz munchkin, Mr. Carl Slover? How about who retired in Dublin? Well, I have a whole chapter on when we went chasing after the munchkin so that Mama could meet him. And that was pretty funny. Speaking of hurricane evacuations, years ago, we had a mandatory evacuation. The hurricane did not come. But I could not believe the response of this community. And on the radio, people were calling in with the resources they had to offer. And it blew me away. I wrote some newspaper articles about it. And the name of that chapter in my book is actually what I heard on the radio when people were calling in what they could do to help. The name of that chapter is Miss Vassie Thompson of Highway 29 has a spare room for an elderly person. I said, man, that's wonderful. How about the Sill Cook Home? Anybody ever heard of the Sill Cook Home? We went ghost hunting in the Sill Cook Home after it had long closed. My nephew wanted to do this. I would only do it in broad daylight because, as Mama said, Mama thought it was a bunch of hooey and a bunch of nonsense. She's driving us to the Sill Cook Home, and she says, why in the heck are we going looking for something we hope to God we don't find? Here's one who remembers strange drugs. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? I still have a picture of that sign. The crime reports, the way they used to appear in the Courier Herald. Mama would cut them out and send them to me in bulk. I want to share a couple with you from my book. Now, keep in mind, compare the crime here with what we experience in Atlanta, where I am every day. By this hour in Atlanta, some people have died, y'all. Okay? They have absolutely died, I'm sorry to say. This is what these are actual crime reports from the Courier Herald, printed exactly as they appeared. Are you ready? Here's one. Kenneth Daniel of Dublin reported July 27th he lost a cell phone while riding a tractor. That's some hardcore crime there, y'all. Here's one. This lady had to make a police report, y'all. A woman reported May 11th a co-worker snatched items from her hand and broke her fingernail. One more. Florine Harris reported August 15th that her decal went missing. That's some big stuff right there. Y'all better lock your doors at night. I'm going to close with a story from my book, a short story, and it's called Mama and the Chain Gang. And chain gangs figure prominently in my childhood. This is no lie. I met not one but two uncles for the first time while they were serving on a chain gang. And we could have really made some progress if we'd had teen court back in those days in my family. Seriously. So this is Mama and the Chain Gang. There wasn't much to do in Warner Robins in the 1970s but ride around. So that's what Mama and I did. During my preschool days, we tooled around in the butter-colored Cadillac, which was stocked with vodka and orange juice. I sat on the armrest in the front seat, biting at the air rushing from the vents. This was before child seats and airbags, but I had the ultimate protection. What is it, y'all? The Mama Arm of Steel! Yes! Yes! At the slightest, hold on, y'all messed me up with that. Y'all are really good. At the slightest tap of the brake, her arm would nail me against the seat. Our greatest adventures involved chain gangs, crews of convicts working by the road. We never slipped anyone a shank in a homemade cake or provided a getaway car. But what we did do was just as thrilling. When we'd happen upon these crews, we'd rush to the nearest convenience store to buy cartons of cigarettes for them. We might have been broke, but Mama was never cheap. She bought the best brands, Marlboros, Kents, and Winstons. My job was to break up the cartons so we could hurl the packs out the window. Timing was crucial as the men had to snatch up the cigarettes before the boss man and his shotgun could intervene. Not once did we ride by without doing something. Our mission was way too important and way too fun. The excitement, it never faded. We didn't know when or where we'd come upon a chain gang, so it was always a surprise and a call to action, regardless of where we were going or what our plans might have been. Mama would floor it once she was sure contact had been made. I'd leap over the front seat and press my face against the back window. I loved watching the prisoners smile and hoist the packs high above their heads as we fled in a cloud of red dust. Sometimes one of the men cried, but I knew he wasn't sad. As a 4-year-old, I saw the radical happiness I had caused. For the first time, I became aware of my own power, and it felt good. I savored the view long into the distance. Once they were out of sight, I'd stretch across the back seat and picture them in my head. The men in stripes with their wide grins and salty tears. Thank you and good night.
How appropriate for the Cracker Queen to get something from the Freckled Frog.
I love it. Thank y'all so much. Oh,
The Freckled Frog, thank
that
you.
is awesome. Thank you, John.
Is she not worth the price of admission tonight? Thank you.